Kevin Brunner. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Hello, everybody.
Okay.
All right, I've got 5 o'clock. Are we ready here, team?
I think we are.
All right. So it is 5 o'clock on Monday, August 17th, 2020. This is a regular meeting of the Village of Oregon Village Board. So I would ask for a roll call, please.
Lish. Peterson.
Here.
Horton.
Here.
Jacobson.
Here.
Bollig.
Here.
Carpenter.
Here. Thank you. So our first agenda item is community input. So at this point, if we have anyone on the call who would like to provide information to us about anything that's not on the agenda, this is when we can give you some time to talk. And just know that we can't answer a lot of questions, but we can take information and put it on a future agenda. So is there anyone who's on the Zoom call that would like to speak during community input? I just give a couple of seconds here in case someone's talking and they're muted. Okay, so I think we're all here for agenda items. Then I will move on to item 4, public appearance. This is discussion with the village administrator recruitment search firms. We have GovHR and Public Administration Associates, PAA. I'm assuming that we have both of those folks on the line. We may take action tonight on selecting a search firm to replace our venerable village administrator. And so Mr. Mike Grace has made a couple notes for us to consider, especially that we might want to discuss the draft recruitment timeline, especially posting the job announcement in November. Maybe there might be some concerns about doing it during the holiday season. And then also Mike wants us to discuss whether or not we want him to be part of the discussion. He wants to make sure that we can speak freely without him at the meeting. So does anyone have any strong opinions on whether or not we want Mike to stay or leave? Yes, Corey.
I don't have any problem with having Mike participate in all of it.
Okay, that's the way I'm leaning too. Jenna?
I was going to say, yeah, as long as Mike's comfortable being here, I think it would be good to have him as he is currently the expert on his role.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of how I figured that discussion would go, Mike.
Yep.
I think it's valuable to have you as part of the discussion
Okay,
because
that's fine.
you know the best of what you do, right?
Sure. Yep. Okay.
All right.
Thank you for that.
For sure. Okay, so then how I think this is going to work, we're going to interview the firms one at a time. And while we're interviewing one of the firms, we would ask the other firm to go into the waiting room. Is that how we're doing it?
Yeah, and so we're Kevin and Chris, we're gonna do Lee first. And so if you could leave the meeting and then log back in, and then Elise will put you in the waiting room.
Okay.
So
Very good.
yeah, thank you.
Just give me a second.
As soon as you leave the meeting, then just log back in, please. And then Lisa will put you in the waiting room.
Hold on. I've never left a meeting like this. So hold on. Help me. Somebody's gonna help me.
Should be in the bottom right-hand corner. It's a red button that says leave meeting.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, got it. Sorry about that.
See you in a little bit.
All right. See you later.
Okay.
I was more than happy to kick Kevin out of the room if he needed help.
We've learned that if you don't leave the meeting, it gets complicated, right? At least getting back into the waiting room, so that you got to do a little 1-2 step. So, yeah.
All right. Okay. So do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then just maybe make some opening comments? I think we've all read your proposal, so I think we're looking for some maybe some opening comments from you, and then we're going to ask some questions.
That sounds good. So I'll just take a couple of minutes because, as you say, you've seen our proposal. My name is Lee Shimborski, and I'm a Senior Vice President with GovHR. I have been with the firm since 2014. I work as a full-time recruiter, as well as doing some management consulting. Our firm has been around since 2009, but actually the roots of the firm go back to 1972, when it was previously known as the PAR Group, and then became Voorhees and Associates, and now its current iteration is GovHR USA. Our main offices are in Northbrook, Illinois. We also have an office in downtown Milwaukee, which is where I'm sitting right now. I come to recruitment, from having been in city management for over 33 years. And most recently, I was a city administrator in Mequon. And but prior to that, worked in a couple other Wisconsin communities, as well as one in Illinois. And so I think it's that strength that our firm brings, having all of us at one point or another having worked in the profession and maintaining the context and the networks that we have. For myself as a recruiter, I've conducted more than 90 executive recruitments in my time with GovHR, including city administrator, village administrator, and various other department head positions and all of that. The proposal that you've seen outlines the methodology in which we follow. Of course, we'll customize it to the extent that is most pertinent to what Oregon Village Board would like. And we have a whole host of methods to make sure in which we solicit the appropriate and hearty interest in the position. I think Oregon has got a great story to tell, both as a community as well as an organization. Mike, I think you've been there, 20 plus years or so, am I correct?
Correct. Yep, correct.
Yeah, and so that tells a great story, and that's, certainly, makes for a recruitment that will, provide a lot of interest to folks, knowing that they come into, a stable organization that's got great respect for the position or so. I've reviewed your timeline. I would like to discuss a couple of things in which you may want to consider in reaching the goal on the timeline. But I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have about our methodology, the way in which we would go about any aspect of the recruitment. I know you're not looking for a full-blown presentation, so I'll keep my comments right to the end here and just open it up to say I'm happy to answer any questions that that you may have regarding our proposal, our timeline, our methodology. And again, I do have a couple of observations about the preliminary timeline that the village provided with its RFP.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Do you by chance, how about if you start with your comments on the timeline? Because I think that's probably one of our questions.
Sure. The end goal, of course, is to get somebody in the seat before Mike exits at the end of March. And one of the things I noticed is that it assumes that the candidate or the incoming administrator would only need to provide a 30-day notice. What we're seeing is that folks in the field are also having to give notice anywhere of a range of 45 to 60 days or so. So if the March 31st is a hard stop, then that's where I would recommend to look at starting the recruitment a little bit earlier or so. And it looks to me as if what you were trying to accomplish was to avoid doing any work on the recruitment during October because everybody's energy is focused on the budget, understandably so.
Yep.
But my suggestion, in order to, if you agree to provide a little bit more room that would actually bring somebody on board, would actually look to approve hiring a new village administrator by the end of January, in order to give somebody that, if they had that 60-day notice, then that would mean we would need to look at a little bit of time in October. But to make that easier on the board and other stakeholders, we could accomplish that by, and just here's an idea. Typically, of course, in our recruitment process, we like to get input from a variety of stakeholders, not the least of which, of course, is the village board. But we also recommend tapping into the management team there. So that would be your department heads and perhaps some division heads, folks that you would see important as providing input. What I could do is say, first meet, and most likely probably through Zoom, but meet with your management team. We'll minimize the amount of time that they would need. I can meet with those folks in groups so that it doesn't become too burdensome on their time. I can meet with those department heads first, and then meet with the village board in a group and say, here are the things I've heard about what your management team is saying, be on the lookout for. And what we look to learn from them is about the organization, what's going to be the right fit, at least from the management team's perspective, of the qualities and the traits and the background and experience that the next administrator is going to have. And then what are going to be those challenges and opportunities that the next administrator is going to need to tackle, say within his or her first year or two. Then I could present that to the village board and the reason I'm suggesting this is just to be efficient with time during this busy time of October, but present that to the board and say, here's what I've heard. You tell me, what else I need to know. All with this idea of kicking things off earlier than the timeline you have here, bearing in mind that's 60-day notice that someone may need to give.
Okay, thank you, Lee. So I'll open it up now to questions from board members. Who would like to go first? Otherwise, I can ask a couple.
I say go ahead.
Okay, all right. So, so Lee, can you talk a little bit about what you might do to encourage what I would call a diverse field of candidates for the position?
Yeah, I think that comes from a variety of outreach efforts, as well as understanding. And if I interpret the question as saying that diversity is important to the village board, knowing that we've got a number of networks, that our company has been very much involved with, for example, the National Hispanic Network, which is through the International City Management Association. Also, another group affiliated with them is the National Forum for Black Public Administrators. There are a number of sites such as Women in Government, and we use those sites to do our outreach. We also have a number of other means that we use through LinkedIn. There's also another methodology that is coupled with LinkedIn. It's called Seek Out. And it's both sort of those contemporary ways of doing outreach and making sure that we tap into a variety of networks that contain women as well as candidates of color, and we'll make sure that we tap into that. So, but recruiting is not only just advertising and doing outreach through a whole host of ways, but it's also picking up the phone and through the the networks that I've established over the years. It is doing that personal outreach to say, hey, here's an opportunity here in Oregon, Wisconsin that I'd like you to take a look at. So there's a variety of ways to make sure that we can get a diversity of interest in the position.
Okay, thank you. So we're taking some notes here. So another question I had, so Mike has been with us for a very long time, and do you do anything different when you're doing a search like this, when we're trying to replace a village administrator who has been in the position for decades? Is there anything that you do differently? Is there anything that you look to make sure that that person would be able to work with the village board? I'm just wondering if you treat it any differently.
Don't treat it that terribly different, except for the fact that we will advertise that longevity. As you've seen in our materials, we'll do both a position announcement, which is that advertisement that we'll use for anywhere between 16 to 20 different sources, and in that, but as well as in our recruitment profile, our recruitment brochure, we will also highlight the fact that the administrator is retiring with 20 years plus of service to the city in that position. Because as I was saying earlier, that tells a great story. I mean, that's what people want to hear. And then one of the questions that I will ask candidates when I interview them is, looking at their background and understanding the village's interest. At least that's how I'm interpreting your question, that you have an interest in, somebody's staying a lengthier period of time. I'll ask him that question. Do you think you'd be willing to commit to X amount of years or so? We'll explore that with them.
Okay. Lee, is it correct that you would be our main contact through the process, or would be someone else?
Nope, that would be me.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's important that we know who would be the main contact through the beginning to the end.
Sure. Yeah, because I'm based here in Wisconsin. And, I've spent a lot of years as a city administrator here in this state. I've got a lot of contacts in the area. And so we felt as a company it would be important for me to be on this assignment.
Okay. Board members? Yes, Amanda.
As part of your process, I know you are going to talk to village board members, department heads, management people. Do you also talk to citizens?
If you would like us to, absolutely. And I could give you a real quick example.
Sure.
I'm doing a recruitment in Missouri, Webster Groves, Missouri. Highly engaged community, very much like Oregon, a little bigger in size, but it was important for them that the stakeholder outreach also included folks from the school district. They've got a university, Webster University is there. The elected officials, the council wanted me also to include folks from the faith community, former city council members. So what I did for that recruitment, in addition to all the folks I would normally talk with, department heads, village board members and all of that, I held 4 Zoom town meetings with what ranged up to about, I think, 30 different stakeholders from all over the community.
Excellent. Yeah, that answers my question. Thanks.
You bet.
Other questions? Mike Grace, did you have anything that you wanted to ask?
I think that my question is making sure, and when you deal with consultants, that the person who's doing the presentation is going to begin and end the process. So you did that, Jeannie.
Okay.
No, I think you got it. Good questions. Thank you.
Okay. Corey, do you have a question? Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess, Lee, could you go over what you think the key benefits that your firm brings? And I guess what is unique about Oregon that you would treat differently than other recruitments that you've done?
Well, I think the strengths that we bring to the table is that we're a national firm, but with a local emphasis or so. As I said earlier, and I think Kevin would say the same thing as well. He was a city administrator as well as I, and I think those are the strengths that we bring to the table, is that it's not only the networks and the contacts that we have made throughout the years, but have also cultivated moving forward or so. It's that continuous development of relationships that I think that we have done well. And so I think with a national firm such as we are, we also recognize that in part of recruitment, it's also about not only identifying, who may be sitting in your backyard. So not only just tapping Wisconsin candidates, but there also may be an assistant city manager or a city manager or a village manager in California or in Iowa that wants to come back
think you froze.
I think, yeah. He's frozen on my end here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lee, if you can hear us, you froze there a little bit.
I love it. Zoom.
You might
Yeah.
try leaving and coming back in.
Yeah.
While Lee
Good
is
job.
figuring out his technological things, did any other board member have a question? Or are we ready?
Bollig will have one.
Okay, thanks, Jerry.
He's like mid-sentence there. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
He just kind of froze.
All right, so good news, he's gone. So he's probably trying to log back in, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll stay alert here. I don't see him yet.
Okay.
Can I ask a question while we're waiting? I'm not sure if this is a Lee specific question. So looking at the timeline and the different rounds of interviews, how do we, I'm sure we've probably talked about this before and my mind it's escaping me, but are we having like a select panel of people do that? Or is that something, will they do the first round and then someone from the village does the second, or what does that look like? Do we know?
I don't know. I don't know if we know for sure. I think it's probably to be determined once we select the firm.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
Are you volunteering
Alright.
to be in that committee, Jenna?
Am I being voluntold?
No, well, I mean, I would expect the entire board is going to be involved, to a certain extent.
Me too. Yeah.
I was looking for a cell phone number. I don't see it.
Yeah. Glenn just came on, but not Lee. Here he is.
Are they-
Yep. I'm letting him back in now.
Okay.
Holy cow. I am-
That's okay.
Wow. That other computer decided to have a mind of its own. I apologize.
No worries, Lee.
So,
Okay, so I think you were just wrapping up your question. You're wrapping up your answer to that.
so the question was, what do we bring to the table? And there was a second part to that question, which in my panic, I forgot. So
Yeah, the second part is what would be unique about your approach, for the Village of Oregon versus other recruitments that you've done?
sure. We tailor our recruitments to every community, and I think it's important to capture that uniqueness in the recruitment profile that we provide to really give candidates as much of a close-eye view of what they can expect from the position, the organization, and the village. And I think we do a nice job and an accurate job at that. From all the things that I learned, I try and convey the community, as it is, appreciating that every municipality is unique and that we treat it as such.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Mr. Bollig, you had a question?
I did. Hi, Lee. Welcome back.
Thank you.
My question is basically, if you were going to advise this group on this selection, what is the one main item you would recommend we emphasize on? in picking a firm?
That's a good question. And I'd be anxious to learn, more about your organization and your community. But I think with the story that you tell of having Mike there for as many years as he has, spend the time to learn, and I would say sell the strengths that are behind that longevity, and make that one of the key features of what you look for in your next city administrator. If that's important to you, then we need to make that part of the recruitment effort. And that's, of course, what I would hope to learn, by taking a deeper dive into your organization and into your community.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you. Any final questions for Lee? All right, Elise, what would you like Lee to do?
So, Mike, are we going to have Lee come back after the board makes a decision? Then after we speak with
I
PAA?
think that if after we talk to Kevin and Chris, and not knowing if the board's going to make a decision, maybe Lee would do the same thing that they did. They would just leave the meeting, and then log back in, and then at least we'll put you in the waiting room, and then she'll release you once we're done with the other.
Okay. So let's see. We've gone about what, 30 minutes or so. So
Yeah.
maybe come back in at about 25 minutes.
You can, you can actually just leave and then request to come right back in, and I'll just leave you in the waiting room. And then as soon as we're ready to have you back in, I'll just let you back in.
All right. I'll make sure I charge up both computers. All right, I'll do that.
Okay. Thank you, Lee.
Thanks, Lee.
You bet. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it.
All right, and then at least remind me the names of the two other folks we have.
So we have Kevin Brunner and Chris Swartz.
Okay, cool. So you want to let them in, or?
Yep.
If they're
Doing
around.
that right now. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thanks for running the technology for us. We appreciate you.
I'm trying.
You're doing great. I'd rather have my job than yours. Okay, so it looks like we have Kevin and Chris connecting here. Can both of you gentlemen hear us?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so what we'd like you to do is maybe make a few opening comments. We've reviewed the proposal that you sent, but just maybe make some opening comments, introduce both of yourselves, and then we have some questions we would like to ask.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Village President Carpenter and trustees, my name is Kevin Brunner, and I'm the president of Public Administration Associates, and with me this evening is one of my partners, Chris Schwartz, and Chris is our secretary treasurer of our company. We're a Wisconsin-based company, about 24 years old now. We are the second generation of partners in the company. The company was started by Dr. Steve Hintz, who way back in the day did some work for the Village of Oregon, did an organizational study, and I think was involved in recruitment of your administrator. So we would love the opportunity to continue that association. It's been a number of years, but to continue that if we could. We're an interesting company in that our approach is a little bit like Uber in that we don't have a lot of overhead. We operate out of our homes, and we don't have large staff or salaried positions, but we work on basically a commission basis. If we get work, we are paid. If we don't have work, we don't get paid. So the values our company has very quickly are one of the things we pride ourselves on is professionalism. We're very committed to the local government management profession. That's the reason why our company started. We wanted to promote local government professionalism and specifically city, village, town, and county managers in our state. And to date, we've helped over 60 communities in the state of Wisconsin create an administrator position. We've actually done that, several of those just this past year. Sauk County was the most recent one where we assisted in creating a new county administrator position. Another value is our integrity. We subscribe to the ICMA Code of Ethics, and we have I think you'll find everyone that works for our company. There's about 10 or 12 of us around the state of Wisconsin. We believe in high character and in a high degree of integrity. The last value I'll mention is our financial responsiveness. We think we're very efficient and effective in our work. We believe we have a fiduciary responsibility to our municipal clients. And I couldn't help notice, Mike, on your own village administrator page, your mission is to make our local government and the service it provides of the highest quality at the lowest possible cost to the citizens of Oregon. That's essentially our mission. We want to provide high quality services, but at affordable cost. And that's why we've been so successful. And that's why we've worked with over 150 municipalities around the state of Wisconsin. The last thing I'll just mention is that we do believe strongly in our process, and so strongly that we give a guarantee that if we're not successful in working with the Village of Oregon on getting the right person to replace Mike in the first year, we'll come back and do the whole process for free. We can do that because we believe in primarily in our vetting process and the lengths to which we research and conduct background reviews on candidates that come to the village and are interested in the position. And the neat thing about that, from our perspective, we've done over 300 of these, and we've only had to do that once in our history. So we think we believe in our process, and we believe it's a good one. I'll just mention, if Chris wants to add anything, but that's really our little pitch for you. So.
No, I'm fine. You've said it all, Kevin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Board members, do you want me to ask my questions, and then we'll keep going? Okay, so Kevin, would you and Chris be our point people from beginning to end, or would we be assigned someone different?
No, you'll see both of us, and we work as a team, and you will see us both at all meetings. Of course, with COVID-19, we're trying to conduct as much of this as we can virtually, and which is a little bit different wrinkle, but we do strongly believe we're going to need to come to Oregon for some meetings, and it's certainly at the end of the process, you're going to need to see the candidates in person. But you will see Chris and I. That's what you see is what you get. So.
Okay. And then, my next question is, what will you do to encourage that we get a diverse field of candidates for the position?
Really excellent question. We do a couple of things in our targeted recruitment. We really try to target diverse candidates for you. We also have used in the past some of the public administration associations, such as the Hispanic and Black administrators associations, to target people of color. We also, and I think the proof is in the pudding. I was just looking at our last 10 recruitments, and there were 4 women and 2 people of color. So of 10 recruitments, I think we've done a pretty good job of bringing a diverse group of candidates to the table for the clients we've worked for.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Oh, so as you know, since your firm helped hire and find Mike, Mike has been with us for a couple of decades, and so I'm curious, when you're searching for a candidate to replace someone who has been in a position for a long time, is there anything that you do differently?
Well, I'll give you a case, and I'll ask Chris to jump in here because we were both involved in this recent recruitment. Mike certainly knows Mark Grams. Mark Grams was the city administrator of City of Port Washington for 33 years, a little bit longer than Mike has been with you. That can be daunting for some candidates to fill those kinds of shoes. But a couple of things we did in Port Washington is number one, we do think having Mike, and in the case of Port Washington, Mark involved in the process is very important. It helps making them available to the candidates so they can discuss things forthrightly is a very important component of that. And then the other thing we've also done, though, is in our recruitment, we've said, they've had some very long tenured professionals in these positions, but every individual can bring new things to the table and can bring a new set, perhaps of skills and abilities that will be beneficial to the community. So we try to emphasize that to the candidates as well as to the communities themselves.
Yeah, I believe it is a plus to have someone like, Mike's been there 20 plus years, as you said. I think that attracts candidates, and we found that. But replacing someone of long tenure, it is intimidating a little bit. So I think it's important that when we look at the candidates that we look at their personality to see how they would fit into an organization that has had someone the long tenure. Because it is a different role than someone, if you're there 3 years and replacing that one, it may be, you need a different type of candidate. So I think it's really, we have to dig into their personality a little bit more to see how they would fit.
Okay, thank you. I'll give other board members a chance here to jump in. Yes, Amanda.
Sure, sorry. I'll ask my question too. I assume in your process, you would talk to village board members and department heads and all those people. I'm wondering if you would talk to citizens as part of your process.
We could. I mean, we haven't. It's hard to identify citizens that would be that would know some of the perhaps the technical aspects of an administrator's position. We try to get that actually, from the elected officials that we talk to in the communities where maybe these people have served or currently serve. So we try to get at that, that the citizen engagement piece, the citizen involvement piece. We always ask questions of references about, what kinds of things have candidates been involved in the community beyond the job? Are they involved in charitable organizations? Are they involved in the League of Women Voters or all sorts of, other types of community involvement? And we think that's very important to have that and to demonstrate that in some of their past work.
It's also, as Kevin knows, we have, and we don't, we go with you as part of our process. We talk to you about the actual process we're going to go through. And I don't know if you mentioned it, Kevin, but at the end of the process, pre-COVID, we used to have meet and greets. So the citizens can meet the candidates before you decide. So I don't know how practical that is these days. So we did it at the end of the process. And in one community, we discussed, but they didn't want to pull the trigger on doing some surveys ahead of time, because we do an assessment of the board members, correct? And sometimes staff members. If the board felt they wanted to add a step of surveying some citizens or specific in the chamber, we could probably add that step within the current budget. But that's something you have to let us know. It's been something discussed.
Thanks for mentioning that. I think when we did the city of Platteville, for example, last fall, we hired a new city manager. We assisted, I should say, the city council hired the city manager. We assisted with the recruitment and selection, but we had a public process that involved about 80 people. And we not only had that meet and greet, but we also had received from citizens their comments and their perspective on the candidates. So we can integrate that into your process. I think the design of that, because of COVID, we need to talk to you a little bit further about it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right, other board members, questions? Mike, did you? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, thank you. The question I have is conceptual, actually. And as we go through this process as a board, trying to select a firm, if you were in our shoes, what one main item would you focus on when looking at firms?
Well, Mr. Bullock, I think I would say there's two reasons why I think you should consider a municipal search firm. Number one is that we can go out and actively recruit for you. But we need to know first and foremost what you and the community need, okay, and what your expectations are. So I think you hire us to do recruitment, and we do that with your help. I think you probably saw in our proposal, we do a lot of video recruitment. In fact, we would ask your village president to work with us on a video presentation in which we would extol the virtues and the good things about Oregon, and then also talk about the type of person that you're looking for, the qualities and the qualifications. We post it on social media all over the place, and we also encourage you to post it on your social media platforms. So that would be one thing. The other thing is, I think, is the vetting. We painstakingly go through, and not at the end of the process, but in the middle of the process, we talk to everybody and anybody we can, not only the references, but others about these candidates, so that we know we've got a pretty good pulse of who these people are, what makes them tick, and what might make them a good fit or not a good fit for your particular community.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anything else for Kevin and Chris?
Jeannie, we may want to talk and get the reaction to the timeline.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So you guys have had a chance to review our timeline. One of the things that we're a little concerned about is that we are currently recruiting during the holidays, and want to get your feedback on that.
Yeah, that's a concern of ours as well. And I think Mike probably talked to Dr. Hintz a little bit about that.
I did, yeah.
So let me just tell you what our philosophy, our perspective is a better one. We think that between, it's fruitless to recruit during the holidays from Thanksgiving through basically the end of the year, through Christmas. The reason for that is we've learned firsthand that when we've conducted recruitments during that period of time, is there's not a lot of interest. People are focused on the holidays, they're focused on their families, they're not looking at moving. And a case in point was just last year, we did Columbus, the city of Columbus, city administrator, and the mayor, and it was a situation much different than yours, but the administrator there had left for a position with the Department of Transportation. And they were very anxious to get somebody on board. It was budget, it was the budget season, everything else. And I cautioned the mayor, Mayor Tome, at the time. I said, if you, and he wanted us to push out the announcements between Thanksgiving and Christmas. and he was getting some political pressure to do that. And we said, well, we can do that. We'll do whatever you want, but we're not going to get a good response. We can tell you that. So we had a deadline of December 30th. We had 8 candidates. We extended it by 2 weeks, and we had 26 or 27 candidates. So we would like, if we were selected and fortunate to be that firm, we would like to work with you either to do the recruitment, get the candidates. You can certainly interview and all of that, maybe between Christmas and New Year's. I'm sorry, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, but to try to do the recruitment before Thanksgiving. If not, then we would suggest doing it and starting it right after Christmas, the first couple of weeks of the new year, if you can do that.
Yeah. The only thing, Kevin, I would say is the time period. If you look at their schedule, September 14th is when they'll start the agreement with us, or if we're fortunate enough. We do, as part of our process, we do a lot of, I would call recruitment. We call up people we think, Kevin and I, our contacts, and try to recruit early. We get before even the official recruitment documents are out. So, there is some time in there that we could do some more informal recruitment. Kevin, you may want to talk about that if that's possible, and maybe have the job announcement a little early as well. So there is some ways around that. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we can do, I think part of it is, what your administrators' plans are in kind of backing into that. Again, I don't want to be actively recruiting between Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's what we call a black hole. It's very difficult at that time. If we can do the majority of it before Thanksgiving, I think is to our advantage, or after Christmas, one of the two.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just our opinion. And that's 20 years of experience trying to do it.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, anything else for these two gentlemen, board members? Mike, anything else?
No, thank you. That was it.
Okay. Elise, do you want to give them instructions of what to do from here? Or are they staying?
I guess go ahead, Mike.
Well, if the board's going to talk about hiring one of the firms, we would now be like at a regular meeting, you would just let Lee back into the meeting.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. If the board wants to wait and make a decision when Randy's here at the next meeting, that's totally up to you.
Well, at least if you want to let Lee back in.
That's what I would do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Since it's a public meeting.
Mm-hmm.
We are very transparent here, gentlemen.
That's great. That's great. We're very transparent too.
Yes. Welcome to municipal government. We live in a fishbowl.
Can't have it any other way, I don't think.
Yeah. All right. So Lee, you're back. Okay. So just to catch you up, we've interviewed both firms here. We've asked some questions. So I guess it would be my my desire that we actually pick a firm tonight so that we can get moving and get a contract signed in September, and then especially if we want to get the search going before Thanksgiving, I think we gotta stay on timeline. So any opening thoughts or motions, or I would entertain any sort of thoughts from the board. Anyone?
This is Bollig.
Okay.
I think we know enough that we can pick someone tonight. I don't think we have to wait. I know Mike's mind will be at ease, and we've got a big job to do here. Mike's been here 20 years. He's been excellent, and he's got big shoes to fill. So I think the quicker we get started, the better off we're going to be here. And plus, it'll give the firm we pick a little extra time to get going on this. And again, the emphasis we have is we want them to do a great job, because we want somebody that is as good as Mike has been, that will hopefully stay as long as Mike stayed. So, it won't be an old guy like me. We know that right away. So I'll wait for other comments here.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Yes, who is talking?
This is Lee
Oh, yes,
Shimborski.
Lee. Yes, sorry.
Would it be helpful for the group if the consultants exited the room so you could have a more open conversation, or doesn't that matter to you?
Actually, no. We're used to talking about you right now.
Okay.
It's what we do. It's what we do, Lee.
Actually, I was mainly concerned about Chris Schwartz because he's a very sensitive guy.
I know that. That's all right. Thinking about me, Lee.
I was going to ask the same question, Lee, but I was more concerned about us than them.
No, if we were doing this in person, you guys would all be in the audience and we'd be looking at each other right now, and it would be exactly this. It would still be this awkward.
All right, fair enough.
I think what's happening is that you both are very qualified, and so that we don't have a clear front runner. So someone's just going to have to be brave and say their preference. If you would like me to do that, okay, Amanda, yes, please go ahead.
I'll be brave.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a really tough decision. There were a couple comments though that stood out to me, and I guess I'm leaning very slightly. It was close, but I'm leaning towards the PAA. So
Gotcha.
yeah, let's put it out there.
Yeah, that's what we do. So yeah, go ahead.
This is Bollig again, or Amanda, or Jenna, go ahead.
Oh, well, Amanda, was that a motion?
No, I was just trying to feel out the crowd here.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, because I could make a motion, but it might fail if everybody's leaning the other way. If you want me to make a motion, I could do that.
Amanda,
I'm not forcing you to,
yeah,
but
Amanda,
I would.
Yeah, make the motion, Amanda.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we hire PAA to find our new administrator.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll go second.
All right. Sweet. All right. Perfect. So we have a motion and a second. All right. Now, further discussion. Jenna, anything that you wanted to add there?
I just wanted to echo everybody else's sentiments that, it is a really tough decision. I think that's why we're so quiet, is because I can see benefits to both firms, and unfortunately that makes it harder.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Any other thoughts?
Bollig would just like to ask Mike a question. Mike, did I hear correctly that this firm also hired you?
That's correct. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's what I thought, and that's why I did the second on the motion. I was going to make the motion, but I wanted to see how the group felt about it. And also, this didn't come up, and this should be the last thing we consider when we're making a selection like this, is this firm is also 40% less for their cost. So,
well, I think that's still a valid point, Jerry. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be the sole decision maker, but I think it's probably part of the decision.
Yeah. So that, again, it did weigh on my decision, but again, I didn't come into this meeting thinking that would be my sole consideration. As I said earlier, I just want to get someone, hopefully, that is as talented and as good as Mike, that would last as long. Because we're hard to deal with.
Speak for yourself, buddy.
No comment.
All right. Are we ready to vote? Is there any more discussion? I don't want to cut this off if someone has something burning to say. All right. So we have a motion and a second to hire PAA, which stands for Public Administration Associates, to help us select a new village administrator. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So gentlemen, especially Lee, thank you very much. Please don't think this is a judgment on your firm or you. Tough decision tonight, and
Oh,
thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate what you do.
Absolutely. And best of luck on the search. I know Kevin and Chris will do a great job for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Lee.
All right.
And we're excited to work with you, and we'll be in touch with Mike, I think, over the next several days to get the process started. We start with an assessment that we do with the elected officials, with the trustees and the village president, and we'll probably get that out to you in the next day or two. So,
Sounds good. Thanks, Kevin.
Good.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much
Kevin.
for your
Yes.
consideration.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Of course, you're
Thank
welcome
you.
to stay for the rest of the meeting, but we're expecting you to leave.
thanks, but no
Sounds
thanks.
good.
All right. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, board members. That was a really good discussion and a thoughtful process. And I think we've made a good start.
Yep.
All right. So Mike is already breathing easier. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. All right. So now I think we have a couple gentlemen in our meeting that have been waiting very patiently. This is item 4B under public appearances. We have a conceptual discussion with Steve Dieter and Todd Malcook regarding a proposed wine bar at Maria's property at 134 South Main Street. So we have a memo in the packet with a nice description of sort of their concept that they're thinking about. So gentlemen, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Do you maybe just want to make some opening comments, tell us kind of what you're thinking, and then I suspect we'll have some questions.
Sure. So we're very much in the conceptual stage, but this is an idea that we wanted to get a feel for the board's opinion on, whether this is something that they're interested in having something like this in the village. Our idea is just a casual wine bar that would be open in the evenings. Serve, have a self-serve wine system. There are some of those in the area, may have seen those before. And then a bar, and be operated by a single bartender, and then just open spaces, configurable spaces for patrons to socialize and hang out after the end of the workday. We kind of see it as an alternative to kind of the sports bar atmosphere, maybe a little, upscale, casual kind of place. And we think it'd be a good addition to the community. And we're interested to see if this is something that the village would find acceptable.
Okay, so do you both of you gentlemen, do you want to tell us, do you live in Oregon?
Yes.
Okay.
So my wife and I and our two kids moved to Oregon. I think it was 2008. And our kids have grown up through the school system. What brought us here, we were looking at Middleton, Wanakee, kind of all over, but we really love the community and all that it had to offer at the time. Especially the school system is what really drew us in. And we've been here for 12 years. We've grown to love the community, school, the flag football program, just being involved in different things throughout the town, and call it home now. I come from a small town in Broadhead, Wisconsin, so I'm kind of used to this, and just really want to do something good for the community, something that can bring people together and make new friends, and just have a really kind of a relaxing place that people can always count on, that kind of relaxing, safe place to be.
And our story is similar. My wife Joyce and I moved here in 2007, and we've got 3 boys supposed to be going to high school this fall. And we've put down roots, and very similar story to the Malcooks.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So Amanda, I think did you have a question? Go ahead.
I have a few actually.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm just wanting a little bit more specifics from you, and I know that some of them you may not have, so whatever you have, I'll take. So let's start the self-service wine system. I'm wondering how that works. How do you prevent people from over serving themselves? Like, how would that?
No, I can tell you the process. So if you came in to unwind, you come to the bar with your ID, and we will give you a card with a designated amount on there. We can control that, whether it's $25, $50. That's the card that you take over to the machine to put in. And once you used up that amount, you're not able to, it won't dispense anymore.
Okay, that makes more sense. I just thought maybe it all got charged on the credit card and you could just swipe all night.
No, we control that.
Okay.
And different places set it at different levels. In Verona, it's set at $100. Some places are 50, 75. We haven't really determined what the perfect amount would be for that, but.
Okay, but you mentioned before there'd be a single bartender. Is that the person that would also be responsible for sort of monitoring people's consumption?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
And the actual, we have the layout we've kind of drawn and stuff. We were told, tonight we could just kind of go over kind of the 30,000 square foot. I'm in my building homes. 30,000 feet view of stuff. It's not a really big bar. We're looking at a 10 to 12 foot bar, and so they're able to monitor the place pretty well.
Okay. And let's see. You mentioned in your summary here an outdoor patio area that would be accessible only from inside the building. I'm picturing the building and I'm trying to think where that might go. What were you thinking?
Well, the parking lot. So we're all on the same page. We've been working with Johnny from Maria's Pizza, and the parking lot. We thought we'd like to put some brick pavers down and kind of create a patio. And if we're allowed to, we're not sure if we could alter the building, but add a door from the inside that leads out to that patio, because we don't want people being able to take drinks. We want to control, keep them in the bar in that area.
So you're thinking to the side where the parking lot is, not out the back of the building?
Correct.
Okay.
Although there is a door at the back corner that we could maybe, we're kind of playing with the layout, how that would sit. I guess we could maybe get people out that way, but right now how we have it kind of laid out, that would be blocked off. So we'd need to create one towards the front. And we'd really like that to be in the front so that the person running the bar that night could see people going in and out.
Okay. And that would take up some parking spaces or all of the parking lot there? Maybe you don't know at this point. I'm sorry. I mean, if I'm pushing you for too much, let me know. But
oh, this is perfect because we're kind of working through some stuff yet too. It would take up 2 to 3 parking stalls.
Okay. All right. You mentioned in here like the live music aspect as a possibility. Are you looking at that for indoors or outdoors or both, depending? Just wondering what that would look like.
No, when you hear live music, it would make me a little nervous, but it would be inside, and we're talking more like from 5 until 7 or 8 at night. It would be a piano player, or if a violinist was there, or something softer. It wouldn't be like a live band or anything.
Okay.
But it would be
Swanky.
kept inside.
Okay. And let's see. So what kind of general hours of operation were you thinking?
I don't know what we were thinking, like 4 or 5 o'clock until I don't know
Usually,
what
usually
what
during the
closing
week,
time
you're
is.
into like 10 or 11, maybe 10 during the week. You open up at 4. On the weekends, I think we're looking more maybe 3 to midnight.
Okay.
I don't think we ever, we're older, so to stay up past midnight's pretty good for us. But yeah,
Sure.
I don't think we're looking to stay open till bar time. And then Sundays, sometimes I think we'll want to be open, but we're kind of, some places are open on Sunday, some aren't, and that are in this industry. So I don't think
Okay.
we've decided quite that yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate the information.
Thank you, Amanda. All right, other questions, board members?
Bolling has a question when you get a chance.
Yes, please.
Does our police chief have an opinion on this?
Got a question to us?
I have a few questions if you don't mind.
Yeah, please go ahead, Chief.
There we go.
The first would be, have you guys thought at all yet about any sort of continual training you'll provide to employees about carding, especially if it sounds like there's going to be very minimal staff on site?
Yeah, to get your server's license stuff, you have to go through the training, and we'll take that very seriously. And up for any suggestions that you think should be implemented. I think that's the one thing we're very open-minded and want to learn and do what's right. And to be honest, we've looked into that some, but we're at a pretty early stage yet where I guess we're not sure all that's involved with the specific training. We do know that there is some that you need to have to get your servers.
I think the idea you guys have is, it's exciting. I think it'll draw in quite the crowd. I guess my question is ratio of staff member to customers. Have you guys thought about that? And then also, will there be any sort of ID checking system in place? A lot of them use some sort of electronic mechanism to do so.
So I can answer that. So the machines themselves, you have to come to the bar with your ID in order to get the card that will make the Enomatic machine function. So you can control it that way. As for staff, when we keep saying, there will be one person on staff, usually always, for the most part, that's been sufficient at the places we visited and we've spoken to owners. It doesn't mean that there won't be 2 people maybe on staff on a weekend if it's that busy. So that is possible to have 2.
Excellent.
We probably don't plan on having someone right at the door checking IDs. We're not hoping it's that, young people coming in. I think everyone's invited, but I think we're looking for, it's a different kind of a setting than a sports bar where you might get people trying to sneak in underage and stuff.
Sure. And the last question I have is, I guess, more of a scenario question. If you were to have a 22-year-old adult walk in with an 18-year-old, and you sold to the 22-year-old, how the operations are, how would you be able to identify and make sure that one isn't giving wine to another?
Well, I think that comes through training of your bartender, to keep an eye out for that. That's one thing my daughter will be a senior this year in school, and our son will be a sophomore. And I guess that's one thing pretty dear to my heart, is that young people should not drink. So, that's one thing I definitely would want to make sure that people are paying attention to and keeping an eye out for. And the occupancy there, people wise, we'll have to see how many, people that would hold, but I don't think, there's no reason that 1 or 2 people working there wouldn't be able to keep an eye on the entire building. You've all been, well, I think most of you have been in to Maria's Pizza, and it's a pretty compact, localized area where, people really can't hide. And it would even be opening up a little more, so it's just one big room.
Yeah, and if and when this program or this business moves forward, Just know too that we have a liaison program where our officers are assigned to businesses, and we can help support you and provide whatever training you may need, suggestions, advice. Right now we're dealing with the challenges of the coronavirus and wearing masks, and employees trying to card, which, you know, it creates its own set of challenges. So we're always willing to help. So just throwing that out there. That was it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I would also mention at this point, if we may have more board members, but if there's anyone on the call from the public that has a comment or a question, we're happy to do that. You can raise your hand or just let me know verbally you have a comment. Board members, any other questions? Yes, Jenna.
Jamie,
I was just going
I
to say
can't
that.
hear you anymore.
I'm sorry, Elise.
I see your lips moving, but I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
There we go. There we go. I think it's maybe my internet connection. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Yes, go ahead, Jenna.
I was just going to say that I think the idea sounds exciting, and I'm interested to learn more about how it comes to fruition, specifically, you know, the outside area, because you are kind of on that border line between the neighborhood and the downtown area, and you know, but I think you have some good questions to think through as far as staffing ratios. Thank you, Chief, for bringing up some of those questions on how that's going to get monitored, but I think it's exciting, and I'm looking forward to hearing about y'all's next steps.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenna. Yes, Amanda.
Sorry, yeah, just two other quick comments. I'm also excited about this idea. I'm kind of envisioning this as someplace people would go early on, taste some wines, then they get hungry for dinner and they hit Ziggy's or Charlie's or Senor Pepper's, and then they end up at the new Kickback Cafe dessert bar, and like this could be a good complementary business to the downtown establishments that we have. That's my first comment. The second comment is if this idea of your wine bar changes significantly in any way, I would encourage you to come back and check with us. You know, if you scrap this and decide to go with a sports bar, you got to check in with us again, because that may not fly as well. I think I like the idea of this being a little bit more upscale, a quieter place where people can talk and have a drink and enjoy themselves. I'm all for that. So that was it.
You certainly got the idea of what we're looking for. So
Other comments? Yes, Mr. Rao.
I was just going to say, I know when we went through kind of a last big change down there with Ziggy's, there was a pretty strong concern from some of the adjacent neighbors directly to the south over outside uses and noise and all that type of stuff. So I would just encourage you to kind of be proactive and kind of reach out maybe to some of those neighbors and lot owners, just because, you know, no doubt they'll be concerned about it.
okay, thank you.
And what's the best way to reach out to them? How would you, if this was your idea, how would you go about kind of reaching out to them? Is it through a letter or door to door?
Well, I would just suggest maybe try knocking on a door in the evening and introduce yourself, make it personal. That'd be my guess. You know, a lot of people at home nowadays.
And Jeannie, Deb had a question. I don't know if you saw that
in the chat.
Oh yeah, chat. Sorry, I forgot. All right, Deb.
She's asking.
Yeah. Hang on. Deb, do you want to ask it yourself, or do you want me just to hear it? I'll just read it. All right. So Deb.
You could. That's fine.
Oh, hey Deb, there you are. Okay, so Deb, do you just want to maybe say your name and your address for us? Do you mind?
Sure. Deb Bossingham. I'm at 146 South Main. And I guess my question was just, will there be some type of a barrier? I mean, because our lot line, our driveway pretty much is right on the lot line, really close. And so I was just kind of wondering if there'd be a barrier or something Because right now we hear a lot of Ziggy's music, that kind of thing, and at night, and we're just kind of making sure that we wouldn't be getting two things going at the same time, or maybe we could come up with some solution there.
Yeah, so how we have it laid out now, we wouldn't be utilizing the entire front of the parking lot. So imagine, yeah, I wish I could scroll. So it'd be right from the front corner of the building, and you'd come out, 15 feet. It'd be like a 15 by 15 or 15 by 20. So we wouldn't encroach your lot line there. And this is where, if we only have, if it's only open for certain hours, if it's open until 8 and then we close down in the summer, I want to be respectful if you have little kids or just being loud at all. So we could control the hours that would be open. And we don't even, I guess we were hoping to have an outdoor area where people could relax on weekends and stuff. But if all the feedback was, negative for that, then that's something that we want to be respectful of and could keep it inside. But we definitely could limit the hours for that.
Thank you. I don't mean to be negative about it. I just wanted to make sure that through some of these things, because you just don't know when you first start having different businesses down here. And, I come home and go, hey, and there's a bunch of people right there next door. So I just thought we'd think through it, not to be negative about it. I just want to make sure that we're
No, I appreciate your honesty, Deb.
Yeah, we should stay in touch as we work through that part of it.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Deb. Are there any other folks in the public that are on that wanted to weigh in? I should mention at this point that this is just an absolutely conceptual discussion. Steve and Todd still need to go through a lovely process through the Planning Commission, and then with the village board, and there'll be drawings, and there'll be you guys will have to get a liquor license, so there'll be a public hearing. All sorts of exciting things are in your future if you decide to move forward. So yes. Yeah. So do you guys have any questions for us? Things that Todd or Steve, questions for us that you need answered right now?
And, I think we've met with Candy in person, and she's helped us kind of what the process looks like. I guess I just want to be open with everyone. If you ever have any questions, tomorrow, a week from now, if you have any questions or concerns, love to hear them. Any input is always welcome for us. And now we're just really excited to do, something in the community for everyone. And I love wine. I'm not gonna lie. I like a glass of wine here and there. So no, we appreciate your, time. And if you don't mind, are you available, anyone, if I ever have questions or would just like some feedback?
Sure.
Is it okay if we reach out?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, all of our contact info is on the village website. So email, give us a call.
I was just going to say that's my neighborhood. I live down the street and I know lots of neighbors. So if you want to organize something or you want to talk to somebody, I have contacts. Let me know.
And
thank you.
And the last thing I forgot to mention, we wanted a place where if someone wants to host a birthday party, an anniversary, or maybe a meeting at night or something, that there's a spot, for people to gather like that. So that was something else we wanted to offer.
Oh, one other quick question. Do you have any sort of timeline, like right now when you're hoping to maybe open?
Well, we're trying to finalize things with Johnny now, to see if that makes sense. We still, we'd have to go through the paperwork for the liquor license. But we're kind of working on the conceptual drawings now. We've had plumbers, HVAC, trim carpenters come in because we want to restore that building back to its original, kind of the original look. So there'll be quite a bit of work involved with this. But timeline, I wish we could tell you. It just
That's okay.
I'd love to say by Christmas or early summer, but I just don't know how quickly we could. I think the work itself could be pretty quick, but we're new to all the paperwork and everything, so yeah. I wish I could answer that.
Okay.
And yeah, make sure that you're working with Candy and Mike on paperwork that you need to get into planning commission meetings, because there's earlier deadlines for those meetings. So yeah, just make sure you're communicating.
Yeah, this is Elise. Todd and I did speak a couple of weeks ago as well. So just for the board's knowledge, well, this will require a conditional use permit downtown for indoor commercial entertainment, any kind of restaurant, tavern, bar type use. So some of those conditions that we're talking about parking and outdoor music and hours and things would be addressed during that process as well. But yeah, I can be either Mike or Candy or I. We can certainly help you make sure you get all your ducks in a row when you're ready to submit to Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Elise is really your point person for Planning Commission, right? Right, Elise?
Yeah? That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for sitting through the selection process for the village administrator recruitment. I bet that was really exciting for you. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks. Have a good night.
All right.
Bye.
All right. And the excitement continues. We are now going on to 4C. This is candidates interested in filling a village board vacancy. So with the sad passing of Trustee David Donovan, we had a board seat open up in the last few months. And we had a pretty robust conversation at our last meeting, or maybe 2 meetings ago, about what we wanted to do to fill that seat. So to just kind of maybe to recap that, under item C2, so this is from the July 20th board meeting. We had a motion and a second to fill the vacant trustee position by appointment until April 2021. In April 2021, the trustee position would be put on the ballot for a 1-year term, and in April 2022 during a special election. So that was what we had talked about and decided at the last meeting. Since then, it looks like we had 2 candidates submit their names. We do have an email from Mr. Aaron Frank, who asked to withdraw his request, and looks like he is endorsing Mr. Luke Sticht, who I'm guessing is on the call here tonight. So if you just want to make sure you all saw that email, I'm guessing that Aaron's probably not going to be on the call tonight, or maybe he's listening. So I guess before we talk with Luke, I just kind of wanted to do a check-in with the board and make sure we're still comfortable with this process with only having with one candidate. Because I just wanted to do a check-in, because the last couple of times we've done this, we've had between 5 and 10 candidates in the interview process, and just thought I'd have a check-in if we're still okay moving forward in this way. Any thoughts? Yeah,
Jacobson.
Oh, Jenna and then Amanda.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm comfortable moving forward.
Okay, Amanda.
Yeah, that was pretty much me. I see it as a short-term fulfillment right now, so I'm comfortable with. I mean, we could still talk to Luke and ask some questions, I guess, but I'm comfortable with appointing somebody. Yeah.
I wanted to make sure we had that conversation before we talk to Luke, because if we, I don't want it to be a decision on Luke. I wanted to make sure that we talk about it before that and make sure that we're comfortable. I guess that's all. All right. Are we ready? Are we ready to have Mr. and is it Sticht speak? Is that? I think you're on the call, right, sir?
I am. Yes.
Yes.
It's like sewing stitch. I'm sure it's supposed to be something really fancy,
Oh,
But yeah, it's
so Luke Stitch.
yeah, that works.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm a firm believer that it's fairly important to pronounce people's names correctly. Even though I'm really bad at pronunciation, I try really hard. So always know that. So I guess, so Luke, and is Aaron Frank on the call? I guess I should ask that first, because if he is and wanted to be considered, we would do you separately. I'm only asking because I have a few phone numbers on the Zoom call. Okay, so I don't think Aaron's with us. So board members, is it okay if I ask Luke just to kind of make some opening comments and then we ask questions? Is everybody comfortable with that procedure? Okay, Luke, we're getting nods. So yeah, so why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit? Thank you for sending in all of your application and then your resume, and we're anxious to get to know you a little bit.
Sure. Hi. Yeah. Thank you. I myself was actually surprised that it was down to me and another gentleman, and then surprised again when I saw that he withdrew. But my name is Luke Stitch. I grew up in a town about the size of Oregon. It's called De Pere, Wisconsin, up near Green Bay. And I moved down here in 2001 to go to college at the University of Wisconsin. My wife, who actually was my high school sweetheart at the time, joined me, and we stayed down in the Madison area ever since. And after my first son was born, right after he was born, we knew that we wanted to get out of the Madison area and into a town that that would have some great opportunities for us and our kids. And so we moved to the Oregon area in 2010. And we've been here ever since, raising our kids in the Oregon public school system, and just really love the town, love the opportunities that my kids have here with all the extracurricular activities. They're very active at Karate America. And so my application to this opportunity was just to take a chance and see if I could work for the community that has been very welcoming to me and my family. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you, Luke. Board members, any specific questions? Yes, Amanda, please go ahead.
I feel like I've been doing a lot of talking in this meeting, but
right. It's your job.
So hi, welcome. I'm just going to ask you like the three kind of questions I was going to ask both candidates, if that's okay. I was just wondering, Luke, what are the biggest issues you think are facing Oregon right now?
I think current state is with COVID-19, our families supported with working from home. I manage a large workforce, and a lot of them are dealing with their own issues, trying to balance work with the fact that they might need to oftentimes cut the number of hours or even leave their places of employment because school systems are really challenged with trying to figure out what the right solution is between having kids come back and having kids learn virtually. I think that's number one. I think problems with Oregon, I can't really think of problems with Oregon. A lot of the concerns I ever had as a citizen were a lot of the safety issues with roads, but you guys have already really tackled a lot of that. I drive through it every day when I go back to work. The intersections near Karate America where my kids are all the time, how many car accidents were there, but you guys have already jumped on that. I think just continuing to make this place the place that I've been so fortunate to find. I can't think of any problems off the top of my head, and I apologize for that, but I would just love to participate in an organization that continues to give opportunities to other families that I've been able to have.
Okay. And my other big question was, you're a pretty busy guy. Monday nights, you're available for late meetings sometimes?
Yeah, it actually works out great.
Okay.
Yeah, Monday nights are totally wide open.
Excellent. Well, I'm good then.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda. Any questions from other board members? I guess, Luke, I would just say this is sort of the spiel that I give to anyone who is seeking to serve in public office. I think when all of us sought public office, we all had like one or two issues that we really wanted to address and perhaps fix. And then once you're in the seat, you realize that you are doing everything from voting on which roads to fix to hiring new police chiefs to dealing with public comments, concerns, complaints on multifamily housing coming into town. So I guess one thing I always try to warn new people is to have an open mind, to listen, to actively listen. And sometimes that's really hard when there's someone perhaps being unreasonable, and we all know they're unreasonable, but they think that they have a very valid viewpoint. So that's one of the things that I always struggle with as a public official. So I would just kind of urge you to remember that, and to open minds and listening is sort of key to this job. I don't know if my colleagues would agree with me, but you'll always have those one or two issues that you really want to fix and address, but then you get to learn and you have to make decisions on a budget that fills like 3 binders that are this thick. And if selected, you would be joining us just before budget time. So hope you have some reading glasses there. There's a lot to review. I don't know. I particularly like budgets. I think they're fairly interesting. Budgets, I think, reflect the values of a community, of how we spend our money. That's one of our
And that was something I actually really appreciated in my looking into the village website a little bit. You know, one thing I noticed was, I think it was UW Platteville that did a PowerPoint presentation for the village, and I couldn't locate the year, but it seemed to be fairly recent. But one of the comments from the community was that it seemed like the survey they did was that they didn't feel like the board, I guess, was as transparent as it could be. So every day I work, I have 125 employees that report to me, and then at the same time I'm in the Navy Reserve, where I manage a detachment of 25 people, and I'm very used to people having very strong opinions on what we should be doing and directions we should be going. And I think one of my strengths is I'm very patient. I'm a very active listener, and I truly feel like I can't solve problems unless people who understand the problem the best come to me and I help offer solutions. So if an employee of mine comes to my office and says, I have a problem with A, I need that employee who's in the front lines doing the work to actually step up and help me understand how to solve the problem. And I think that's the same with community members. If a community member feels very strongly about something, I hope the community member has the ability to come and speak to me or any member of the village board to state what their issues are and what their thoughts are on how to fix it. So if somebody's house is being impacted or housing is being impacted, what ideas does the community have to help us understand that problem better to make the right decision?
Yes, 100% agree on that. All right, other board members, questions, thoughts, any discussion on the process that we want to undertake here? Yes, Amanda.
I would be very happy to make a motion to appoint Luke Stitch as I don't know what to call him, interim village trustee until the spring election.
I'll second.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to appoint Luke Stitch as a village trustee. Do we want to have a date in that motion effective effective like September 14th. Is that our next meeting, Mike?
It is. That's correct. Yep. Mhm.
Would that be okay, Amanda?
Fine with me.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So, yeah, so we have a motion and a second then to appoint Luke Stitch as a village trustee effective September 14th. His term would expire on April, I don't know what the date is, in April 2021 at that election. Obviously, he would be eligible to run for that seat for another year, as would anyone else who lives in the village of Oregon. All right, is there further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Luke, well, welcome aboard there, buddy. It's gonna be great.
Thanks very much.
Yes, it's gonna be great. So, so Mike, could you or staff maybe send Luke what he needs?
Yep. We'll be
yeah,
in contact with him. Yep.
Yeah, and then yeah, just you'd be in touch with Mike. I should have maybe asked if September 14th worked for you, but I didn't want to presume that the motion would pass. So yeah, just keep in touch with staff and welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay.
Corey has a question.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Corey.
Luke, I just wanted to welcome you to the board, and it sure seems like your heart is in the right place. This is a great group. We all get along very well. And if you have any questions along the way, I'm sure you can reach out to any of us and we'd be glad to help you. But thank you for stepping forward and serving our community.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Stick around.
I will.
So many exciting things on this agenda. Okay, so moving on to item 5, we have no minutes. Item 6, approval of vouchers. So tonight we have vouchers in the amount of $383,529.06. Could I get a motion to approve to get these on the table, please?
I'll go move those.
All right, so I have a motion
Jacobson will
by
second.
Fowler and a second by Jacobson. All right, questions, discussions?
Go ahead, Jenna. I stepped on you a little bit, so you got a question, go ahead.
No question. I just thought I'd get this on the floor, get things moving. So.
All right. I do have a couple questions. And this is probably a question for Lisa. The 2% dues, is that for a whole year or for just part of a year for the fire department?
That is a pass-through that we receive, and then we have to turn around and we issue a check to the fire district. This happens every year. It's for one full year.
All right. 1 full year. Okay.
Yes.
It's $50,000. All right. Thank you.
And
My
that
next
amount fluctuates every year.
Oh, does it?
Based on
Okay.
their calculation.
Okay. Next one is 6350 Summerfest fireworks. And I only asked this because I know we didn't have a Summerfest and I know we didn't have fireworks. And I know that this is $1,500 that is just we're sharing with the chamber. Excuse me. But where are the fireworks?
So obviously the fireworks were delayed, but Judy's, in order to secure if we would have had the fireworks during Summerfest, she had to put down a down payment, plus she had to buy insurance for the fireworks.
All right.
So this is going towards this, and the last that I spoke with her, she's looking at maybe having the fireworks on New Year's Eve, so that people have to remain in their cars, the whole COVID thing, so that people aren't going to be out and about sitting watching them. They'll be in their cars. So that's her thought process right now.
All right. Well, we don't need to nail that down. Where are they being kept?
I don't know if she actually physically has them yet. She had to put a down payment on to secure getting a order.
Okay.
I'll store them, Jerry.
Yeah, I was going to say Jeff will probably keep them in his office. Okay, thank you. 7915. South Central Library System. it's 5 replacement public abbreviation something for $4,400.
Public
This
computers.
is Jennifer at the library responding. We replace a portion of our computers every year so that we don't have the expense of replacing them all in any given
Okay.
year. So that was just that scheduled replacement.
So it's personal computers is what that is.
Yeah.
It's an okay.
Yep.
And then I can't find it on here, but I've got a note here, 2463 to Ziggy's for the catered meals. Is that something that, are we advertising that? Because I see there are like 50 people eating there now, which is great.
That's part of her, the senior center program that she has, what, I can't remember the name of it.
Okay.
My Meal, My Way.
That's
Isn't
it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
My Meal,
so
My Way.
those are actually through the senior center then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
One,
they
two,
were,
four,
people are
6, 3.
allowed to come on Wednesdays and Fridays, and they go to the senior center and they get a coupon or whatever, or a ticket, and then they can go over to Ziggy's and they get their meal.
And Jerry, the SC in front of catered meals means senior center. It's on page.
Yeah, I got that now. I
Page
get that
6.
now. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
And that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jerry. Other questions on vouchers? All right, Peggy, do you want to do a roll call vote then for us?
Yes. Jacobson,
Yes.
Carpenter,
Yes.
Bollig,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. On the item 7, proclamations and announcements, do we have board comments tonight? All right, staff comments. We have a whole list of upcoming virtual meetings on there. We don't have a special meeting next Monday, so you can cancel that off of your calendar.
Correct.
Our next meeting is September 14th, and then Mike was good enough to put all of the budget meetings on there to make sure that those are on our calendar, and then make sure that you remember that that third budget meeting is always on a Wednesday.
Yep.
That's the one that usually screws me up, because I have every Monday blocked off until the end of time for village board meetings, but the Wednesday ones kind of sneak up on me. So,
Well, you're going to be president for a while till the end of time.
well, I'm sure I'll get recalled at some point. But Mike, do you have any comments on those meetings?
Yeah, I was just going to say then we have the October 1st, which is a Thursday, the joint hearing with the Planning Commission on the comp plan amendment. Sorry, that's October 1st. So that's a Thursday, but you have usually are there anyways, Jeannie. So yeah. you're safe.
Yeah. So that'll be we haven't done comprehensive plan amendments for like a year or something. It's been a little while.
Couple years,
so,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and there's some good items on that plan. So
yeah,
I would expect that we'll have members from the public there to, although I don't know, you never know. But yeah, there's some interesting things on there. So make sure you have that on your agenda. Any other staff comments? All right, then we are moving on to item 8. This is communication and miscellaneous business. I want to thank Mr. Hawkins for being very patient tonight. I've seen you in my screen all evening. So let me read this item. So this is item 8A. This is discussion and possible action regarding a police commission appointment. We have a recommended motion, and this is coming from me. So that if folks remember how this works, for the police commission and for some other boards, folks apply to be on it. I go through the applications. Their applications are always put in to the packet. Then I interview them, and then I come forward with a recommendation, and the village board says yes or no. It's one of the few perks of being village president is I get to make a stab at picking someone. It's very exciting. And so I'm very excited to have Mr. Harry Hawkins to be recommending him to appoint him to the Police Commission for a term expiring in 2025. And if someone wants to second that motion, we'll have further discussion.
I would love to second that.
All right, so Amanda's going to second that motion. So Harry, since you sat through 2 hours of village business, would you just like to make a few comments, introduce yourself, and just tell us why you're interested in serving on the commission?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. No, it's always interesting. But yeah, my name is Harry Hawkins. I am the Executive Vice President for Nehemiah Community Development Corporation, a nonprofit in Madison. And as of the beginning of this month, I've been in Oregon 8 years. And so people probably didn't see me that often just because of work and things like that. But I have been here 8 years. And last year I had an opportunity to speak at the Firefly. And during that time, I challenged the community. But before I went to that, as I was preparing for that conversation, my boss challenged me to become a part of the community. So he also challenged me to find a place where I could serve. And so I've been trying to do that. And I feel like the Police Commission will give me a chance to get to know the community better and give me a chance to serve. I feel like I am uniquely situated to be a bridge and an accountability partner for the police and the community.
Yeah, thank you, Harry. So just to remind everybody, state statute says police commission terms are a whopping 5 years, which I think is interesting. So Harry is signing up for a 5-year sentence there, buddy. And to also remind folks watching, the police commission has a very important job of hiring and firing all police staff, from officers to sergeants to lieutenants to chiefs. And gosh, I think we've done all of that in the last few months. And excited to hire new Chief Jenny this year. Last meeting, I think I swore in new Lieutenant Chad Schaub, which means that Harry, you're going to be on a commission that's going to be appointing or hiring probably a new detective sergeant, I would guess. And I would hope at least one officer for this year. So you'll have an important voice on that commission. And I'm excited about having you on board.
Thank you.
Questions from board members for Mr. Hawkins?
Jeannie, I just wanted to make sure the board saw the really nice emails that people sent on behalf of Harry.
Yeah.
Harry's appointment. Very nice.
Yeah. So Harry, I'm not sure if you know, but you got some endorsements from some committee members.
Well, thank
so
you.
That's, it's always better than hate mail. Those are usually directed at us. Yeah. All right. Well, if you all are ready, then I will call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Mr. Hawkins, welcome to the Police Commission. Mike Grace will kind of be kind of your liaison of upcoming meetings and how to prepare.
Yep.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the
All right.
opportunity.
Thanks,
Yes.
Harry.
Yeah, thank you, Harry. All right. Item 8B, we have a discussion and possible action regarding police department fair and impartial policing, train the trainer agreement. We have a recommended motion to authorize Police Chief Hagenkoff to sign the fair and impartial policing agreement. Chief, do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, so it's pretty detailed in my email to Mike. This is a training that I've been trying to get to come to our community for the last 2 years, but unfortunately, due to the cost and availability of their staff, they're out of Florida. It's very difficult. This is an organization that is supported by the Office of Community Oriented Policing Services and then also COPS. With them, one of the local trainers that I am aware of that's affiliated with this organization is Noble Ray. He's a retired police chief with the city of Madison. I would imagine he will be the instructor for this course. I want to be clear though, we do plan as an agency on sending staff to training that goes outside of law enforcement. This is part of the resolution. where we identified some training that would be beneficial to all village staff, including the police officers. This training in particular, FIP, as they call it, is more designed for patrol and how they can operate within their capacity using this training. What I found is a great benefit is recently Detective Jansen, who is he's an excellent instructor. He instructs in many fields. Stepped forward and said he was personally interested in teaching this topic. I think as a department, our culture needs to adapt. And as I promised this community, we would make positive changes. This is part of it. Even as an individual becoming a trainer, you start to look at the way in which you do your job, the way in which we're designing policies, procedures, training. You start to adapt and start changing parts of our department. When you become a trainer, you start to think broader. So I really do think our department is going to grow and just improve based on providing this training. It is only 2 years that we are certified to use the FIP. And we can only do it with our staff. But given we are at a minimum hiring 2 this year, possibly 3, depending on how the year goes, this is ideal. This is the time to, as a department, with the command staff changing as well, myself and Lieutenant Job now in the positions we are, I think this is just the ideal time to make this cultural change and move forward with this now as part of our department, as part of our training. Detective Jansen will also be implementing this into our field training program as well, making sure we're getting those components in there.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. Would someone like to make a motion to get this on the table? Does someone feel comfortable making a motion to sign the fair and impartial policing agreement?
I'll make that motion.
All right, so we have a motion by Corey, second by Jenna. Discussion or questions? Yes, Amanda.
I just wanted to clarify, once Detective Jansen takes this training, we have the certification for basically 2 years, and we can train as many officers as we want within that 2-year period?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. And then we can go through the recertification and keep him certified in that. But I want to first see the quality and what changes we're able to make. I foresee us recertifying through this organization, but we're always adaptable. There may be a new program out by then that's better. So we'll keep reassessing.
Excellent.
Yes, Jenna.
I just want to say I like that we're not just sending somebody to the training, but doing the training, the trainer approach, so that we can continue to have trainings on this for our staff, for the officers in the 2-year period. So thank you for taking that extra step. I like that.
Yes, I think right now with everything going on, there's a lot of negativity out there. And when I was looking at this and trying to decide whether or not we move this direction, I know one of the responses may be, but really is the quality of the training going to be good because the instructor is not of color? There is that thought, but we're also going to do that training as well. We're going to seek that avenue, but I think it's important for us as a department to just invest in this and make this our own as well, and know this and understand this as well as possible. I can tell you our instructors, we're in a consortium for training, and our instructors, all of them, are excellent. They take their jobs very seriously when it comes to learning how to instruct, learning the material inside and out, and teaching it in a way that best benefits our agency. What I see coming from this, my ideal goal is we send Detective Jansen. He learns this inside and out. Not only does he provide the training to our department, but he helps me in building connections with our community with the families of color in our community. So that's, it's a lot of different approaches to address these concerns, but I do think this will be beneficial.
All right. Any further questions or comments? All right, we have a motion and a second then to authorize Police Chief Hagenkopf to sign the fair and impartial policing agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, Jenny, for bringing that to us and going forward. That'll be exciting. Item 8C, we have a discussion of possible action regarding the Highlands of Northernwood Park structure. We have a contract B, change order number 1, recommended motion to approve the change order number 1 from Meyer Construction in the amount of $3,735 for electrical and lighting additions to the playground shade structure and a change to wall-hung toilets at Highlands of Northernwood Park. Would someone like to make that motion?
Jacobson will make the motion.
All right, so we have a motion, motion by Jacobson, a second by Amanda. Any questions on this one? Thank you for the info, Jeff.
Is there any advantage to the wall-hung toilets?
Yeah, they're easier to clean as in public restrooms. That's the only reason we're doing it, is you can mop. You don't have to mop around the devices, and instead you just mop under them. I don't know why. Someone say why didn't we have them in the first place? We probably should have, but it was just a small oversight in what was spec'd.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Hey,
Item
Jeannie.
8E.
I was just gonna say, if board members should pay attention, we're actually getting sod installed today and tomorrow on the playing field out there. So, and the building will be going up next week, the brickwork, but it's actually green out there and the sprinklers are running, and I think it's pretty exciting to see some of the progress out there.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
It's not every day we build a new park, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And do it in this manner.
Yeah. All right, so item D, we have a discussion regarding the West Side Park development options. This is initial discussion, not looking for any decisions tonight. This is the first time we've seen this. As a note, the village purchased the school property on August 6th. Mike and Elise and Lisa and Jeff put together a very informative memo. Do one of you guys want to take the lead and give us the highlights?
Elise is going to start off.
Okay.
I will. Yes, this was a very collaborative effort, putting this memo together, and again, very conceptual discussion, just kind of laying out all the different thoughts and considerations for this site. So the land here, just to orient folks, this is Alpine Parkway. We have CC Jefferson Street on the south side, Netherwood on the north side. The green portion is currently part of Keller Alpine Meadows Park, and then on August 6th, a couple weeks ago, we finalized the purchase of the land back from the school district. So it totaled about 42 acres in both the purple and the green sections here. This property has been tax exempt since 2005, either owned by the village or school district during that time. It's always been sort of part of the long-term vision that this side of the park would have a little bit more of an active use through more active sports on the site. And with the school site becoming available to the village again, that site is more desirable for development just due to its higher elevation. So we took the initiative a couple months ago, kind of right before COVID, to work with Vanderwall and just get some initial concept ideas on paper for the site. And those were kind of in two major categories. One was a combination of a village hall / community center at this location with that on the purple site, and then a park use on the green, the north area of the site. The other option was looking at some type of multifamily housing, could be for families or seniors or affordable, not really sure yet, but just kind of laying that out on the site and having that along with the parkland as well. So we kind of went through both options, just some different considerations, pros and cons, things to think about. With the Village Hall and Community Center option, some of you may remember, this was before I was here, but in 2016, Vanderwall started a civic campus plan study and looked at all the needs for growth and kind of the current building status for Village Hall, Library, Senior Center, and the Youth Center. And this was started before the current library and the youth center sites were chosen. So this is kind of when everything was still contemplated to possibly be, you know, right downtown in its current approximate location. So one thing they looked at with the space needs analysis is that they determined a Village Hall would need to be about 20,000 square feet or more to accommodate expected staff growth, and then additional meeting spaces that are needed for a growing community. Right now, we're not at that number yet, and just with the current state of Village Hall, significant remodeling would need to be done to use the building, as well as some sort of addition in order to meet future needs. And just to keep in mind, this Village Hall has been in use since about 1941, not just as a Village Hall, of course, but so about 80 years of use for the village. Part of what they did was a listening session in the series of different interviews. In this particular one, there was about 40 participants who were asked how important was it for village facilities to remain in the downtown, and that was broken out by Village Hall, Library, Senior Center, and Youth Center. And of those 40 people, there were 32 folks, this group, that said it was very important for them for Village Hall to be downtown. 7 would like to see it stay downtown if possible, and 2 felt that it was not important for this to remain downtown. And it doesn't, the report doesn't have a full breakdown of, you know, who those people were, if they were representative of the community, but that's the data that we have from that listening session. These were a couple, this option 1 or A and B here, a couple of the different plans that were shown. There was a whole series of these in the report, but this one showed Village Hall in its current location, but also sort of taking over part of the parking lot for Waterman Triangle Park with an expansion. It envisioned the Senior Center relocating on the current library site. Another option they showed was completely relocating and building a new Village Hall, kind of completely overlapping the Waterman Triangle Park parking lot and kind of abutting the park there, and you know, either making this space a parking lot or having some kind of redevelopment on the current Village Hall site. So since that time, village staff has been trying to explore different avenues, speaking with different property owners about options for purchasing property downtown in order to keep village facilities in the downtown area. At the present time, Oregon Bowl, right here, the Masonic Lodge, and Frontier are not willing to move their locations and sell any land to the village. Around Thanksgiving, Christmas last year, Mike and I had a couple different conversations with the people from BMO Harris that manage their property, and they are at this time not willing to move from downtown location either. They have a long-term land lease on that property. We are a little bit limited in our options for a space for downtown that's going to be able to meet the needs for the community for the next, 80 or 100 years, and be a place where we can kind of grow into. So this sort of led to staff and Vanderwall exploring what would it look like to have the Village Hall out at the Westside Park location. This could involve redeveloping Village Hall, selling it to somebody else for redevelopment. It would also free up the Senior Center to be temporarily relocated in the Village Hall while they would be constructing new buildings, so kind of acting as a little bit of a temporary location for them. We also wanted to just point out that while downtown is likely to continue to remain the cultural and business and social center of the village, it's not necessarily the center, the geographical center of the village's population. I know this is hard to see here, but this is our future land use map for the village. So the current village boundaries are within this darker black line here. And areas that are shown in sort of a crosshatched yellow area are shown as planned neighborhood. So those are areas that we expect over the next couple decades to grow and have more residences. And the West Side Park location, you know, while not exactly central, as we have more growth to the west, we will have more residents on that side of town. So it may be accessible for more people than even downtown. In terms of staff positions that are anticipated in the next 10 to 20 years, here are 6 positions that we anticipate possibly needing to add, and obviously having space for them here. Right now, we don't have any open offices. So even addition of another staff member would kind of have people separated from each other and would not be ideal. And obviously Village Hall can accommodate a lot more than just offices. It would be shared staff rooms, possible space for a Chamber of Commerce, public meeting rooms for things like village board meetings. And we also were throwing around the idea of sort of a rentable community room that would be maybe higher end and rentable for things like weddings or anniversary parties, graduation parties, things like that, maybe with a commercial kitchen that could take advantage of the park facilities that would be to the north and sort of open up into the park, have some shared parking lot while Village Hall isn't being used on nights and weekends. And we did a little bit of research. There's a number of communities in Wisconsin that have this shared city or village hall and a community room type facility, and they actually, you know, that's a income generator for them and a really nice amenity for the communities. We've spoken with Village Attorney Matt Dragney. He's confirmed that regardless of where it would be, the construction of a new village hall would require a referendum. And Mike, I believe if it was just an addition to Village Hall, that would likely not require a referendum, right?
We'd have to look at that more closely.
Yeah, maybe depending on the dollar amount of the project. So I'll show the concepts here at the end. Those are listed, but the multifamily option, again, could potentially be for seniors or for families. It could be affordable. The village in this case would likely sell the land to a developer for multifamily housing, and then you know, retain obviously the land for the park on the north side here. Just to kind of put this into perspective for our need, our affordable housing report that we did last year showed that the village is expected to grow by nearly 3,800 residents from 2020 to 2030, which adds about 1,600 households to our community. But that's representative of households of all income levels, all ages, all household sizes as well. Currently, with projects that are either currently under construction or have been approved or anticipated to be reviewed in the next year or so, we'll be adding about 300 multifamily units, with about 150 of them expected to be affordable the next few years. So just to put that into your mind, I believe what Vandewall had drawn was maybe 120 units or so, but that could obviously change a lot depending on how the site would be laid out. And then next steps, you all will be seeing the capital improvement plan draft at your September 14th meeting. So in there, you'll see a recommendation from the village administrator to build a new village hall at the West Side Park, shown for plan for 2024, and remodeling the existing village hall to allow the senior center to move in during the construction of a new senior center, kind of along with our domino effect of everything moving around down here. Additionally, we would like to invite Jeff Melody and Mike Slavny from Vanderwall to come to a village board meeting later in the fall, probably after budget season, to review the concept plans in a little bit more detail and discuss some of the considerations of the site and why they drew things the way they did, and hear some questions and feedback from the board. So just to quickly go over this is the Village Hall option, the conceptual plan that they put together for us back in March. So this shows a Village Hall / community center, probably with the community center on the lower floor, and then public meeting space on the second floor, hopefully accessible right off the parking lot, kind of on that level, and then probably offices above. That has room for potential addition in the future should the village need to add more staff or more meeting space. Different recreation areas, probably have restrooms in the Village Hall that would serve the park. And then this shows 4 large playing fields, which could be used for a variety of different sports. Parking lot for the athletic facilities as well. Another one off Netherwood, a couple different shelters, playground, and then connecting to the existing trail network through Keller Alpine Meadows and Lerner Park. The other option is a pretty similar layout with the park. Here it shows just conceptually 4 multifamily buildings that could be 3 floors of residential, similar scale to like the Jefferson Crossings apartments near Sunny's downtown, but similar layout, and would have parking that would serve the park. And obviously this would be a great amenity for people living here, to have the park and trails nearby, be near existing neighborhoods, and be connected to other destinations within the village. So that's kind of our overview, and again, not looking for any decisions tonight, but if you have any initial questions or reactions, and then we can move forward hopefully with bringing Vanderwall back and talking through these plans a little bit more in detail.
Good job, Elise. Thank you.
So I guess I would just caution the board that this is the first time that we're seeing this. Obviously, I'm not even going to entertain any motions tonight. I don't think it's even on the agenda for decisions.
Nope.
I guess if you have initial feedback or thoughts, we could talk about it now. We can do whatever you'd like. Thoughts, discussion, board members? Yes, Amanda.
So I'd like to float an idea that just maybe we could talk about it a little bit. It might make some people freak out initially. Just bear with me here.
Okay, everyone brace yourselves apparently.
Yeah, I was looking at these plans, and I'm thinking that might be a good location for our new library. So hear me out here. I know, like we put a lot of
having a heart attack.
Wait,
yeah, don't have a heart attack.
Mute Amanda. Amanda, I think you're getting muted. No, I'm just kidding.
You're breaking up.
Yeah. No, so yeah, so it's about the Village Hall, the footprint is about the same size as our new library. And when we first started working on the library about 3 years ago, something like that, I didn't realize that this parcel was going to be coming available. I mean, I guess maybe if I had realized that and thought about it, I might have thought, well, maybe we could time that. I don't know. But I saw it and something just kind of clicked in my brain, and I thought, wow, big sweeping views of the conservation park, plenty of parking. It solves a lot of the issues that we've been working with the neighborhood on very hard to find compromises. And here it seems they're like it checks a lot of boxes. Okay. I'm also aware of some cons It's kind of not downtown, but it is on a bike path, and it moves the library towards the west side of town, which tends to be a little more affluent than the east side of town, and so it'd be moving resources away from some people who might not have the resources to get there. I'm thinking this through, and but I like the idea of a village hall there too. I mean, is there any way we could look at putting both there, or I don't know. I just want us to sort of brainstorm ideas a little bit before we run down any one path. So there, I said it. I'm not going to sit back and listen.
Just two initial thoughts on that, Amanda.
Sure.
Thanks for being brave and bringing up ideas. I think it's good to brainstorm. There's a lot of, possibilities for this site. I think from what I've heard with the library too, it was really important for people to keep that near the elementary schools. And I think there was some concern about it even being too far from the elementary schools with the site that was selected. So that would be something to consider. I think if both were located out here, parking would probably have to be expanded or just thought about a little bit more carefully, given that the library would be used during business hours as well for the village hall. So there would be maybe additional parking needed.
Yeah, valid points.
This is good. This is initial feedback, thoughts, and also I'm open to just pondering this too. And Mike, when would we see this again?
Yeah, I mean, I want to go back to the main reason you're seeing this tonight is because you're going to see the capital improvement plan at the next meeting, and the staff, particularly Lisa and me, didn't want you to go, what, we're building a new village hall, and so what are you guys doing? And so now when you see the CIP, you'll go, oh, that's right, they're talking about doing that. And then you'll see in the capital improvement plan the remodeling of the village hall to allow the senior center to move in here for a year and a half to 2 years. So we needed to show you this so that when you look at the CIP, it makes more sense. And again, the CIP is a moving document. We have it in, we're actually going to sit down with Jeff, I think actually this week, and just sort of look at the big projects in the CIP before you look at it to make sure it makes sense in the coordination of it and the funding of all these things happening within a short period of time. So that's the main reason we're bringing this up. We want to make sure when you get the CIP, you go, oh, this makes sense. The staff's starting to look at these types of issues.
Okay. Any other thoughts from board members at this time, or pondering is always encouraged and allowed?
And I guess I would, you look at the CIP in September. We probably will not revisit this, like Elise said, during October with the budget. Probably bring the Mike and Jeff and Vanderwall probably in November. And so, when the board had started making a decision on this, I think you have more than a couple months to start pondering it, Jeannie, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Okay.
And even at that point, we could even take this into next year. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Jenna.
There we go. Sorry about that. I was just going to say I like taking some time to think over this because, as y'all mentioned, I mean, I hadn't previously even considered the Village Hall Community Center option there. I was, kind of thinking only about playing fields and affordable housing. So taking some time to really think about this and talk with the community about it, as well as potentially library ideas just thrown out or anything else that people want to hear about. So yeah, I definitely like taking some time to really dig into this a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that probably, previous to a few months ago, my priority on the site would have been affordable housing. We're fortunate right now that Lakestone is moving forward with a fairly large affordable housing proposed project on the east side of town. So that's, to me, that takes the pressure off of the village needing to develop something here. I think the more affordable housing that we can have, obviously the better. But I also I also kind of think it's exciting to think about having a municipal building out there too. It's a beautiful property. It's going to have some nice views. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's exciting when all options are good. We don't think about how little this happens, people. Like when all
Save of the
options are good. I mean, I think we should just relish in this document for like a meeting and then start talking about it, because usually it's like, well, what's the least bad thing we can choose? So it's kind of fun to dream a little bit. So thank you, staff, for working together and giving us some like something fun to think about. That's especially before budget season. That's really appreciated.
Yep, sure.
All right. Any final thoughts on this? I would encourage you to keep thinking about it. All right. Thank you for all your work on that, and nice presentation, Elise. That was very good. I didn't realize it was 42 acres. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of space there.
All right. Okay, so speaking of the village growing, the next item is 8E. So due to the village's increase in homes on our west side, Pelletieri is proposing to switch refuse and recycling collection days. This would be anticipated to go into effect on Wednesday, October 7th. So we have a handy dandy map in our packet here. Mike, is this something that they tell us this is happening, or do we give feedback, or how does that work?
I mean, they're asking me to do this, and obviously we want to give them some feedback. I think Tim from Pelletieri may be on the on the meeting, I think. Let's see.
Yes. Yes,
Oh.
Tim is here.
Hi, Tim. Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, this is something that we've really come to find out, especially with the COVID thing, how much that west side has grown. You're seeing our trucks in your communities a lot longer with all this, and it just made us look at things, and we discovered that we really need to get things in line, and we just came off a good experience in Waunakee, adding a 5th day there, and I'm kind of excited to hear that, and you could add a 5th day in Oregon too, but it's something we have experienced, and yeah, change everyone has to adjust to, but it does make things flow a lot easier for everyone.
So I think our, I don't know if you noticed, Jeannie, you're on the side of town where I live, and like even last week the recycling truck picked up mine, like I think after 6 or 7 o'clock. So they are struggling. Jenna too. Jenna's on there. So they're struggling. So I think this is a way to maybe get back on where people are getting their garbage and recycling picked up earlier, and I think switching the day. And Pelletieri wanted to do a little bit sooner than October, and Jeff and I were like, we got to give people a heads up, and they're going to do a fabulous job of getting the word out to make these changes. So, and I've asked Jeff to ask the mapping department of the village to do a different map that shows the streets a little bit better, so that we can have it on our webpage as well. All right, Jeff.
Yep, absolutely.
Then I should tell you that we met with Tim, and I'm sorry, Tim, what the other gentleman? Thank you.
Joe Spare. Yep.
Thank you. And they have given us a proposal to extend the contract, and Jeff and I need to review that, and we'll probably be giving that to the board actually at the next meeting for you to look at, and then come back to the subsequent meeting to potentially act on it.
Okay.
And one of the things they're looking at is actually doing every week recycling because of the volume. So
more boxes coming in the mail.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Lots of boxes
Amazon.
and lots of cardboard.
Yep.
Cardboard.
Excuse me.
Any questions for Tim while he's here from Pelletieri, from the board members? Otherwise, it looks like we think this is probably a good idea as we grow.
Yep, I think so.
Thank you so much for being in the meeting, Tim.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your business.
Yes, thank you. All right, item 8F. We have a discussion of possible action regarding surplus office equipment. We have a recommended motion to declare a surplus miscellaneous remaining desks or portions of desks, file cabinets, and appurtenances. This is gotta be a Jeff Rao word.
Appurtenances.
Currently being stored at the Public Works Garage. That's the greatest word ever.
I love
All right.
appurtenances.
Would someone like to make this motion? I don't know. No one wants to make the motion, Jeff. You used too long of a word. Amanda's making the motion.
Yeah.
Yes. I think
Jacobson
John
will
is
second.
seconding it. All right.
Yeah.
Any questions for Jeff on this?
Jeff, can you give me an example of an appurtenance?
The word appurtenances is used very much. It's typically in engineering speak in specifications. It's kind of a catch-all for things that may be associated or attached to or in conjunction with a product or something like that.
And you're sure you didn't make it up?
I did not make it up. I love the word though.
It's the first motion I ever made with that word in it.
Exactly.
I didn't even say it.
Just been waiting 4 years to have a motion with this word in it.
Uh-oh.
Matt.
We got
It's
a
like-
newsflash from Matt here. That's not an engineering word.
Oh, chat.
Oh, he's
Legal
playing.
term.
Good man.
It's a,
Legal term, not engineering.
Oh, so the lawyers want it now. I'm not going to argue with a lawyer.
Is this a word standoff now?
Yes, exactly.
did we get a motion? Or did I
We have
totally?
a motion.
I'm gonna second it.
Any actual questions for Jeff? All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right. Motion carries.
I'll bring some appurtenances to the next meeting.
Very nice. All right, item 8G, we have a discussion of possible action regarding utility acceptance. This is the Autumn Ridge Phase 1C. We have a recommended motion to accept the water and sewer public improvements for Autumn Ridge Phase 1C development and assume maintenance and operation of the portion of the system. Would someone like to make that motion, please?
I'll go make it.
All right. All right, yeah, so we have a motion by Bollig and a second by Horton. So this is, this sounds very official and this, I've been on the board long enough to know that this is a good sign, right, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely. This is ongoing growth. Actually, this is a nice map. Just a couple of things. Phase 1C is the blue area there. I think it was 16 lots or something like that. And also groundbreaking news on at the actual connection from Foxfield out to County Highway MM is completed and open and operating. So that's a great thing. It kind of was one of these things that was going to be part of 1C, but this is just accepting the water and sewer as public improvements, and that then allows them to go ahead and start building and issuing building permits. We'll still have to come in and accept the roadways here soon too.
All right, any questions for Jeff? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item 8H, this is a discussion and possible action regarding cost reimbursement agreement with Lakestone Properties. We have a recommended motion to approve the cost reimbursement agreement with Lakestone Properties for the Janesville Street project. Who wants to kind of walk through this for a bit?
I can.
Okay, thanks, Elise.
So I think at your last meeting, you all looked at sort of a template version of this cost reimbursement agreement. And this is, just to quickly review, trying to kind of capture a deposit ahead of time that the village could hold. We would still, for development processes, we would still bill the developers monthly for invoices received for planning, engineering, legal fees, financial review with Ellers, anything like that. And they would be, due within 30 days. But should those not be paid, we have the ability to draw down from this deposit. So for Lakestone, and then the next one, you'll see the $15,000 amount was used. It was sort of our best estimate as to all the different entitlement processes these projects are going to go through to kind of capture. We thought it would be about 15,000. So just to have that bit of a security blanket for the village, a project that will be smaller. That amount will probably be adjusted down and can be, this is, again, just a template to work from that will hopefully will work for us and we can use moving forward to hold developers accountable and make sure we're getting our invoices paid. So we received the check from them this morning, so it's been deposited. And just need Jeannie's signature on it.
Ooh, exciting. All right, would someone like to make this motion then, please? Amanda, are you raising your hand? All right, so we have a motion by Peterson, second by Jacobson. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, then it looks like we have another one, item I. This is the same thing with Oregon Parks LLC. So we have a recommended motion to approve the cost reimbursement agreement with Oregon Parks LLC for the Oregon Parks project. And at least just remind us what this project is.
It's sideways here, so you have to use your imagination. But this is the rezoning, essentially, that they are proposing just north of like Mulligan's and Omni and Beehive area, but this is area that's currently zoned as sort of a mixed-use commercial area, and they would like to redevelop it to duplexes and then some kind of multifamily housing just north of the daycare and Mulligan's site. So this requires a comp plan amendment, GDP, SIP, probably CSMs for these lots. So trying to encompass all the different things we might be invoiced for and time spent on this project.
Gotcha. So yeah, so lots of public opportunities to speak on both these projects coming forward. But this, I like these agreements because it lets us recapture some of the costs that we put into them, no matter if they end up going forward or getting approved. Our staff still puts a lot of time into things like this. Let's see, would someone like to make a motion to approve this one? Yes, Amanda, we have a motion by Amanda and a second by Jacobson. Thank you. Any further questions on this one? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. All right, item J, we have a review of account 100-48-100 interest on temporary investments.
And maybe Lisa can just explain what this is for the board.
Sure, thanks. Thanks, Lisa.
This is just showing you, this was a really great interest rate that we were getting for our all of our money that's sitting at State Bank across Plains. Unfortunately, the interest rate has fallen at LGIP, Local Government Investment Pool, which in turn affects the amount of interest we will be receiving from here to the end of the year. So basically, we're going from about 3.5% interest to 0.34% interest from now to the end of the year.
And the number that's circled on there, that's year to date.
Yeah, that's the year to date through June.
Yeah.
So we probably won't hit the 80,000 that we were anticipating because of the renegotiation of our contract with State Bank across Plains, where they were supposed to be giving us the 1.45 above local government investment pool, and that's going down to 0.1%.
Yes, so yes, we've talked about that contract before and expressed our disappointment in that. Yeah, I don't know what much more there is to do at this point in time. So yeah, thank you for that update, and we'll continue moving forward.
Sure.
Great, thank you.
All right, item K, this is an FYI only, the partisan primary. So this is a review of statistical results. We have percentage of absentees not returned. We have in-person versus absentee and overall. Any questions for Peggy or staff on the document from anyone? Peggy, you haven't really gotten to talk tonight. Do you want to give us a brief highlight?
So in comparison to the 2016 and 2018 election, voter turnout was approximately the same, but the amount of absentees was dramatically different. So in 2016 and 2018, we had about 2 or 3% of that being absentee voting. And of course, this year we were at about 23% of the voters being absentee. Sadly, though, what I don't like to see is the percentage of the amount not returned, which was we had over 700 absentee ballots not returned, which was about 30%. I don't know. Do you guys have any questions?
How do we stop that from happening?
I don't know what the best answer is.
All right.
So Peggy, so if they don't return their absentee vote, obviously their vote doesn't count, but that doesn't affect the next election, right? They can vote however they choose, either absentee or in person.
Correct.
Like the process starts over with every election, right?
Correct.
Okay.
You still have to do the same amount of work, but yeah.
Okay.
Yes, they always have the option to vote absentee.
Okay. So yeah, we just gotta, Jenna, go ahead.
Peggy, I was just wondering, I'm assuming the absentee ballots not returned doesn't include people who maybe didn't return their ballot in time, but they came to the polls to vote instead. Is that correct?
So if somebody received an absentee ballot and they did not vote it and they came to the polls, one of the rules is you cannot vote at the polls. So you have to vote the absentee if you received it. If you do not return it, you cannot come back to the polls to vote because you received a live ballot.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so you're already marked in the polling book with an A, a red A that says you've already received a ballot.
If somebody says they didn't receive a ballot, that's a different situation.
Did you track how many people, do we have numbers on how many said they never received their ballot?
I am not sure if that is tracked, honestly.
Okay.
It may be a bigger issue in the fall election based on current events going on with the post office.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for putting those numbers together. We appreciate that, Peggy. We appreciate also all of your work with doing 4 elections in 1 year, with the biggest one yet to come.
What the thing?
All right. Item L, this is COVID-19 information. Item 1, we have discussion and possible action regarding reviewing a village administrator's recommendation, authorizing department heads to allow village employees to flex their time for childcare and other issues as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we have a recommended motion to approve the village administrator's recommendation. Does anyone feel comfortable making that motion?
Jacobson will make that motion.
Jacobson. Is there a second? Second by Amanda?
I'll second. Yep.
Yeah, so in my mind, this is the day and age that we're living in. So we need to adapt.
Yep.
Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And then we have an FYI, the village received $7,902.20 from the CARES Act. That was a grant on August 7th from the Wisconsin Election Commission for the 2020 federal election cycle. So I think, did Candy fill that one
I'm
out?
gonna say that's Candy. That's who got us the money. Yep.
Yeah, so thank you, Candy, for filling out that grant and sending it in and getting us almost $8,000 free money.
Yep.
That's always good. Item D, village residents interested in serving in any of the following committees, commissions, boards should submit a completed village application to Village Administrator Michael Grace. His email is listed there. Applications are on our website, or you can call Village Hall. We have one position available on the Oregon Fire EMS District Joint Board. We have a total of 6 seats available on the Park Board, plus a student member. We are getting applications for those boards, and I've talked with Mike. I would expect, I'm hoping to bring someone forward for the EMS District Joint Board in the next month or two. The Park Board might be a little bit later. Just because with COVID-19, we don't have a lot going on right now with our parks. And so we have the luxury of having a little bit of time with that. But if you're interested, anyone who applies and sends in an application, Mike is forwarding that to me. I'm connecting with those folks, letting them know that they're on the list. We'll be ready to rock and roll here in a little while. So going on to report of committees. The first one is from the August 3rd, 2020 Special Personnel Public Safety and Protection Committee meeting. So Jenna, I will let you run this part of the meeting.
All right, thank you. So I will give you a brief update on August 3rd. We met with the police department and the school district to talk about the SRO agreement that was negotiated last fall and make any adjustments to it for the upcoming year. We had a really good discussion, and I just wanted to call out the efforts of Chief Pagenkoff and Mike and Matt, who I know have been working hard behind the scenes since before the agreement was signed, but definitely over the past year to keep everything on track and working well. So thank you a lot for that. Generally speaking, we thought the agreement made a great framework for everybody to work within. There were some minor changes with some of the personnel changes in the police department, so we had to update titles and make sure the reporting lined up correctly. But outside of that, we wanted to keep the agreement as is for the next year. That included keeping Officer Krakow for the full 700 hours in the agreement. We weren't sure how that was going to look with the school and the COVID-19 and everything going on. So currently, that was how the agreement is structured, although we do plan to revisit in the middle of October before this, after the school knows what they're going to be doing for the next quarter, so we can just stay on top of that and make sure that the officers' time is being used well. And I don't know, before we bring forward the motion, Chief Pagenkoff, is there anything you'd like to say on the topic, or Mike or Matt?
No, good summary.
Yeah, Jenna, I just want to say thank you to you for helping with this. And also, I don't see Randy here, but thank you to him as well. And just the overall support we've received from the entire village board, including village board president. It has helped a lot. I think our relationship with the school district is great. And it has to be, because it is a very challenging program. It's not easy to help some of the kiddos in crisis, but the stronger we can be as a team together, I think it's really going to help. With the challenges COVID-19 have given us, even just simple mask wearing with the little ones, our SRO has been and is currently preparing to support in whatever way they can as we start the school year. I'm sorry, if I could add to, and just working with Attorney Jonan and Krista Flanagan and Tim LeBron and Dr. Leslie Bergstrom, they've all been great. I foresee us moving forward in a really great direction.
Awesome. So with that, I'm making a recommended motion to approve the School Resource Officer Program Agreement for the 2021 school year.
I'll second.
You have seconds.
I'm not sure. I heard what, 3 seconds? I think I saw Corey's hand though, so I hope you said we're one of the ones who talked. So I'm gonna pick on you. Just a second. All right, is there any other comments or questions from Amanda?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Think back where we were a year ago and to now, night and day, total 180. We're doing, this is really fantastic. So thank you to everybody involved for being professional, working the problem, and this is fantastic.
It really is exciting to see the improvements there. All right, any others before I call it? Trying to scroll through all the names. Okay. All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. I'll pass it back to President Carpenter.
All right. So just a update that you guys are going to have another meeting with the school district on October 13th at 7:45 a.m. I'm assuming that's a public meeting.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
We absolutely try to do everything transparent here, and we appreciate the public input on that.
Yep.
And yeah, thank you very much for everyone involved in that. It was a big job, and we're moving forward. It's nice to see. All right, 9B, this is from the August 6th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting. First item is a discussion and possible action regarding approval of a conditional use permit to allow vehicle repair and maintenance in the general industrial zoning district for Verizi Service and Repair LLC at 291 Market Street. The Planning Commission did approve this and unanimously. And then we had Attorney Matt Drigney review it, and he suggested that at the village board level, we also approved the conditional use permit and agreement, but we word it slightly different, that we allow vehicle repair and maintenance in the general industrial zoning district at 291 Market Street and direct village staff to record the agreement. So the difference there is that we are issuing the CUP to the address and not to the specific business. So that was a good legal catch by Matt that keeps us out of trouble. Anyone have questions on this? Otherwise, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we approve the CUP to allow vehicle repair and maintenance in the general industrial zoning district at 291 Market Street and direct village staff to record the agreement.
I'll go second.
Okay. All right. A motion and a second. Any questions on this? All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you for that. Item 2, we have a discussion of possible action. This is a 0 lot line CSM for the Keenitz property at 893 and 899 New Hampton Drive. We have a recommendation from the Planning Commission to approve the 0 lot line contingent on the removal or relocation of a shed to be approved by the village zoning administrator, Elise Cruz. So I will go ahead and make that same motion at the village board level. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Amanda. All right. Any questions on this one? All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right. And then the third item coming from that August 12th Planning Commission meeting, we had a discussion of the review of the public participation plan for the 2020 comprehensive plan amendments. And we'll be getting those, I think, on that joint meeting. So I would bring this motion from the village board, or to the village board from the Planning Commission, that we approve resolution number 20-28, establishing public participation procedures for the 2020 amendments to the Village of Oregon Comprehensive Plan, with a note to the public and the board that we will have an October 1st joint public hearing with the Planning Commission at 6:30 p.m. Someone like to second that motion?
I'll second it.
All right, second by Amanda. Thank you. Any questions on this? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. All right, so we have some minutes not requiring action in our packets. We have minutes from the Oregon Area Fire EMS District Commission, the July 2nd, 2020 meeting. And we also have minutes from the Library Board on July 29th and July 8th. Both of those commissions and boards are doing a lot of hard work, and we appreciate the village board representation on those. Anyone who's on those boards want to say anything? You guys are doing a lot of stuff. Appreciate you. All right, we have no unfinished business. Let's see. Thanks to the ordinance that we passed at the last meeting, we have no operator's license too. Yeah, so I'm assuming that Joy just did all those.
That's correct.
Score. So
Yep.
now I don't have to read like 90 names of people getting renewals and other licenses.
Yep. All right.
So that's exciting. We have some future agenda items. So now I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Alec enthusiastically moves to adjourn. Second by Amanda. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, we are done. Thank you, everybody. That was a long meeting. Appreciate your time and effort.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.